Hello, and welcome to Ivani's Blacked Out Stories.
Hi Reddit. I've been crying for hours, and I spent the whole day lying down. For a little context, I am female, 30, and pregnant with my first child. It's a girl. I have a stable job and an incredible husband. We got married 3 years ago. This pregnancy has been a huge happiness for me and my entire family. Now comes the complicated part. My friend Vicky and I have been friends since we were little. We went through a lot together. Happiness, sadness, complicated family moments. Literally a lifetime together. Vicky became pregnant 2 years ago, and unfortunately, the baby died during childbirth. She had been struggling with fertility issues, and her pregnancy had been difficult from the beginning. I don't need to explain how terrible it was for her. She went into a deep depression, and I have helped her in everything I could. She even came to live with my husband and I for a while. Vicky had a daughter whom she named Ingrid a few days ago. Vicky asked me if I already had names for my daughter, and I answered yes, but I wanted to talk to her about it. I told her of my intentions to give my daughter the middle name Ingrid. She burst into tears inconsolably. She started yelling at me that I was selfish, a bitch, an idiot for stealing his baby's name. She yelled at me. How could I do that to her, knowing what that name means to her? I tried to explain, but she wouldn't listen to me. My reason is simple: I want to name it after my little cousin who passed away and was like a sister to me. She passed away after a battle against cancer. I was 16 years old, and she was 8. I always knew I would name my daughter after her. Vicky knew about my Ingrid and was even at her last goodbye. She spent days drying my tears. When she told me about her baby's name, I was a little bit upset, but I never said anything because I didn't own the name. Since she left, she has been posting hints on Instagram about fake friendships. She's already told her family, and they haven't stopped filling my phone with messages about how insensitive I am. It was never my intention to hurt Gettle, but so many messages made me feel terrible, and I don't know what to do anymore.
And now for the comments. Blanket Statement 5 states:
You are not the a-hole. She already knew about your Ingrid when she chose her baby's name. If anything, she stole the name. And based on her going on social media to complain about fake friends, which is, in and of itself, a very good sign that she is a drama empress, I would be wholly unsurprised if she used the name Ingrid intentionally.
Next comment comes from Kilanara, and it states:
Instead of getting to watch her daughter Ingrid grow up, Vicky would be forced to watch her best friend's daughter Ingrid grow up and be constantly reminded of her own daughter and thinking about what milestones her daughter would have been hitting, etc. The constant reminders would make it hard to move on. That's how it's rubbing salt in the wounds. That said, it ignores that OP was going to use Ingrid as a middle name, which is generally used much less often. It also ignores that Vicky knows OP has a pre-existing stronger connection to Ingrid through someone who is not Vicky's daughter. It isn't 100% clear if OP ever told Vicky, before naming her own daughter, that she intended to name her kid Ingrid, but Vicky knows enough to consider the possibility. Without actually knowing the people involved, it's hard to say, but this smacks of Vicky was affected by original Ingrid's death, knew her more affected friend, OP, wanted to use the name, but had a kid first and intentionally tried to tie it up so OP can't. Then gets mad when OP uses the name anyway, because, hypocritically, it's perfectly fair for her to take OP's name, but it's an absolute sacrilege for OP to use the name. You can't steal that. I stole it from you fair and square first.
The final comment comes from Sugakusha.
Honestly, you cannot steal or own a name. This isn't true, and stories on this subreddit prove it. Just a week or so ago, there was a story about a woman who was going to use a name, but the child died, and then their sister decided they were going to use the same name as a first name. It was very obvious that the sister was stealing the name. I think those stories pop up once a month here. The big differences here are that A. She wants to use it as a middle name, and B. She actually had the name first, and it was a friend who used it when she shouldn't.
And now an edit from OP.
I've been reading all the comments, and there are things I want to make clear. Vicky knows that I always intended to call my daughter Ingrid, always as a middle name. Ingrid's mother, my aunt, knows about this and gave me her full permission. She said it was very sweet. Ingrid's father was never in her life, so I spend a lot of time taking care of her because my aunt had 2 jobs. It's not like she's a distant cousin, and that's it. My intention is not for my daughter to live in her shadow, but as a tribute to my little cousin. I always thought about telling her that I named her after a little angel who is very special to me. My husband and I will read all the opinions, and surely we will let you know about our decision.
Well, that's it for now. And my question for you all is, what will you do in this situation? Let me know in the comments section. And until next time, take care.
And that concludes this story. And hopefully you enjoyed it. And if so, please consider my invitation to subscribe for more Avani's Blacked Out stories.